And just like that, we're back yet again with another update on XRP. Appreciate you guys as always, for tuning in on a regular day-to-day basis. Happy Sunday wherever you are around the world. Hope you guys are having a wonderful, wonderful weekend. But looking across the board, as far as the market is concerned, you are starting to see a lot of gainers. Despite Bitcoin seeing a little bit of a minor pullback over the past few hours, you're still seeing the market reacting in a really positive way, and that is due to the dominance. And we're obviously going to shed some light on that a little later in the update. But like I said, majority of the market is up with the price of XRP above $2, to be exact, $2.06. Also down about 0.5% in BTC comparative market cap, holding really nicely above this $120 billion mark, to be exact, $120.5 billion, and the 24-hour trading volume at about 1.1 billion. But before we get into any further, as always, just a quick disclaimer: anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So, Ripple's CEO Brad Garlinghouse, firmly dismisses any plan of an IPO in 2025, calling it, just a definite no. Most companies that go public do that to raise capital. We haven't needed, to raise capital. Quite some, big words, big announcement coming out from Brad Garlinghouse, because of course, a lot of people, within the crypto community have been, looking forward to, some sort of an IPO announcement, because, let's face it, again, if you've been, part of, this XRP journey, or, you have been paying attention to the crypto markets over the course of the last few years, you guys know about this. But, since this lawsuit has been going on, Brad Garlinghouse has come out and said in the past that, once this lawsuit is over, they will look into, a potential IPO. So obviously, we have heard some big announcements coming about, that lawsuit. Pretty much, both parties have come up with some sort of, settlement. But, obviously after that, a lot of people within the XRP community have started talking about an IPO, because, IPOs are being talked about a lot right now. Not just a Ripple IPO, we're talking about a lot of, digital asset companies, that could go public, because of course, we're in that stage. But, Brad Garlinghouse has said, not this year, but it hasn't ruled out that, it's not going to happen. Maybe we see that happen next year or the year after. But I do believe that, Ripple is a company, based off of, the moves they're making, and, based off of, what he has said in the past, I'm sure it is on, their timeline sometime in the future. It might not happen this year, but I definitely think, we will see Ripple going public, in my opinion. Let me know your personal thoughts down below in regards to what you personally think about this. I know some people are going to be kind of, ticked off at this due to the fact that, they wanted that IPO to happen. So, more exposure comes towards, Ripple, which of course kind of has, impact on the XRP's native token price as well. But I think, we need to understand sometimes it doesn't happen all at once. But, ETF is something, we need to see an approval on. We have already seen all the ETFs right now, that are being filed for digital assets. From the XRP ETF is in the lead. So, so far so good. But we gotta obviously understand, it's a patience game. It's not just gonna happen overnight. But let me know your personal thoughts down below in regards to that. But look, over 1 million XRP transfer from Nexo wallet to an unknown address. What's going on? Is this another OTC transaction? Let me know in the comments down below. But we have started to notice, some big amounts of XRP that has been moving, quite a bit. But I would love to know your thoughts down below regarding this specific thing. But look at this. Charles Hoskinson has dropped some big, news. And again, obviously it's speculation at the end of the day. But look what he says. Cardano founder states that Apple, Google, Microsoft, Meta, and Tesla are investing in crypto, and a few of these companies have already not been shy away from talking about crypto. Tesla obviously being one, Microsoft. Not obviously in terms of public, but we have heard some news coming out of here. But one thing that all these companies have in common, and I'll tell you what that is. All these companies, if you look at their job postings, and I love doing that, I'm bored, I'm kind of looking into some of these jobs to see where this crypto industry really is going, and where these companies are really going when it comes to blockchain adoption within their infrastructures. You're starting to see literally every single company that is on this list, they are hiring for it's blockchain devs, crypto analysts, people that understand blockchain industry. Why are they doing that? Because maybe there are some plans where they do incorporate that within their infrastructure. But let me know your personal thoughts down below regarding this. IOHK states that 3 billion users will have crypto wallets on their Android and iOS devices, and I personally think we've already seen that happening with some of the Android devices. I think it's just a matter of time where you do see that happening in the iOS, and it just becomes a norm. Let me know your personal thoughts down below regarding that. But moving forward, look what was on Fox News. So it says using crypto, Doge, Bitcoin, one of those to buy a house. So you look, buying a house, you're using crypto this morning on Fox. So imagine a time where you could use XRP to purchase a property, or BTC, Litecoin, Dogecoin. Guess what? Might be big news to some people, but that's already happening. That is not something new. You could buy a house with Bitcoin and crypto in this day and age, and I think this would become a norm as you do get more into the future. Because look at it from this perspective. Right now, the traditional way of buying a house, boy, are there so many fees that you don't really want to necessarily pay. The transfer fees, withdrawing fees. There's so much going on that just gets rid of that. If someone is willing to obviously, take your crypto to, buy this house, or the one that sell the house that you're looking at. It's just a simple transaction, kind of get rid of all those different third party entities that you just get involved that isn't the traditional way of buying and selling homes right now. I think this just changes the game. So I think this will become more of a norm in the next 5-10 years to come. But it's already happening to the people that are wondering. But last but not least, look at this. This has really got to be interesting and really shows you where these big companies are heading. So Deloitte operates in over 150 countries. It's one of the world's largest professional services networks. Deloitte serves many of the world's most admired brands, including nearly 90% of the Fortune 500 and thousands of private companies. And you can see, Deloitte has developed a proof of concept and accelerators to facilitate cross-border payments over blockchain platforms. Applicable use case includes B2B wholesale, supplier payments, and international remittance. Deloitte has partnered with existing blockchain platforms for enhanced integration such as Stellar and Ripple. There we have it. Now let's take a look at what's happening with the price of XRP. So dominance did go down once again over the last few hours, going down to the likes of 63.67%. So, so far it is pulling down, but it has a long ways to go down. In the grand scheme of things, the dominance is still quite high, but the fact that, it did pull down right now, Bitcoin's seeing a little bit of a minor pullback, but still altcoins did perform really nicely against BTC because, of course, like I said, money necessarily isn't leaving the crypto space. It's just, going back into, the altcoins. But if you're looking at XRP right now, it's pretty much kind of having a little bit of a battle between, the bulls and the bears, between these two levels, which, of course, is the 38.2 and the 0.50 fib zone. Obviously, we have seen several different retests in the 38.2, several retests in the 0.50, and right now we do have some support built up around this range exactly at that $2.06 where we currently are. We retested that a few hours ago as well. Obviously, if we lose this support, the chances of us going down to 204 could be in play. Obviously, especially if BTC sees a little bit of a minor pullback, which further obviously could take some of these coins down. And, obviously that would be only about a 1% move. These types of volatile moves can happen. It's part of the game. And the grand scheme of things are looking still really, really nice. Obviously, we're in a weekend. On the weekends, more manipulation than usual due to CME futures are closed. But very, very important to remain within the 38.2. But let me know down below what you guys think. We'll see you later in Crypto ZX and peace out.